I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order at 6 p.m. This is a regular meeting for Tuesday, July 16th, 2024. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
I will. Tim Hale will not be present. Stephanie Nowers. Here. Dee McKee. Here. Robert Yunt, are you on the phone? Bill Gamble.
Here.
Dimitri Fonoff.
Here.
Ron Bernier.
Here.
Madam Mayor, you do have a quorum.
Thank you. Is there anything any members would like to pull from the consent agenda? Okay, hearing none, then the agenda is approved as presented. If you'll all stand, please, and Assemblyperson Fonoff, will you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There are no minutes to be presented. Agency reports. Do we have a report from the cities? No? Okay. Ready? Report from the school district. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor DeVries, Assembly Members, Manager Brown, Katie Gardner, the Deputy Superintendent for the Matsu School District. I don't have much to say because it is summertime, but that doesn't mean that there aren't a lot of work going on with the school district. So for any parents and students who are listening and tracking and starting their countdown, we are T-minus 30 days to the first day of school, and it will be a busy 30 days that goes really quickly. But while teachers and most of our staff in schools and students are taking a much deserved break, there's a lot going on. We have a number of maintenance projects. We have the largest crew of student workers we've ever had supporting grounds, painting, small construction projects, working in our schools. We have technology refresh that's going on right now to make sure that everything's ready for students. And just by way of another update, I think since the last time I was able to present to the Assembly, two major decisions have come down that are relevant. The first is that the governor did sign the budget, and while there was a small veto that did impact school funding, for the most part, everything was intact, which puts us in a very good place to begin the school year. We're very happy about that. And second is that we are not going to have to make any changes as of right now to the correspondence allotment program, as that decision is being returned for further action by the Superior Court. So we're feeling like we're in a great place to start the school year, looking forward to a lot happening over the next 30 days and for students and staff to return. August 15th is the first day for students. So thank you very much for the time. And I will be here if there are questions as the introduction for the bond project happens, but I appreciate your time and attention.
Okay, thank you. I don't see Todd. Do you for state of Alaska report? Okay, we have a report from the North Lakes Community Council.
And if I can get you to press the button before you start talking on the mic, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening. So my name is Rod Hanson. It's RODHANSON. And I'm the chair for the North Lakes Community Council. And here tonight just to give you a little background on the resolution that is in your packets. This is the resolution that we put forward relating to the Bogard-Selden Road Corridor and community concerns about a particular section of that corridor. And I wanted to, I assume you've read the resolution. I'm certainly not going to try to read it to you tonight, but just to rather kind of give you some context. So the North Lakes Council, we are active. We do have a 5-member board. We represent probably 10,000 or so residents right in the core area. So if you look at the new MPO boundaries, we're kind of like right in the middle of that. And so the first, well, I joined the council probably 3 years ago now. And from day one, what I've been hearing from people is the biggest concerns in the area are road safety. And it's particularly around the section of Bogard from Trunk to Selden. I realize the corridor is much larger than that. This resolution addresses more than that, but that particular 3-mile stretch of Bogard is a particular concern for our residents. A few years ago, we formed a committee within the North Lakes Council, and a big focus of that committee over the last few years has been on road and traffic safety. And out of that committee and the work that they've done with outreach and their own personal thoughts, that's what you see in front of you with regard to the resolution. At our meetings, we meet monthly. We often will have one or both of the state senators attend, Senator Shower and Senator Wilson. They've certainly heard our concerns and have encouraged us to go on record, to get a resolution in place to try to document those concerns. Alex Strawn from the Mat-Su Borough has also been attending meetings on it from time to time. He's also encouraged us to do that, as has Kim Solian, who's now with the MVP MPO organization. So we've been encouraged more than once to do more than just complain about it in a room, but try to put our thoughts together on paper, and that's what you see in front of you. As far as the resolution goes, if you look at the first, I think it's the first 5 whereases, you basically, it builds up to, hey, the valley's growing. And you can see the impact of that clearly, certainly in our area, but it's not limited to our area. So significant growth in the borough and significantly in the core area. You'll also find some whereas statements in there where we express some frustration. And the frustration is, as we've done our study, as we've started to really look into this in a little more detail, we come across a 2017 document which was titled the Mat-Su Borough 2035 Long Range Transportation Plan. And in that document, basically it says what we've been complaining about. It pretty much outlines the same exact concerns, which is encouraging to know that planners recognize those concerns. They recognized it several years ago. 2017, it was recognized and put in a formal plan. We also then look at the sub-area solution studies, which were completed in November of 2022, confirming basic, and in addition to those, there was an existing conditions report that I believe was subbed out to a consultant to provide to that planning organization. And there was a particular assessment by that consultant on what's been done. And the conclusion was nothing's been done. And so all of those things that were documented in that report back in 2017, all those problems continue to exist. And what you see in the resolution is a fair bit of frustration, coming through on that issue. The problem only gets worse as time goes on. So our recommendations really kind of fall into a few buckets. At the top of the list, and these aren't necessarily prioritized in your packet or in the resolution, but the first one really speaks to what we believe needs to happen with some code changes. And we're not code experts, we're not people who write ordinances, but we see some that just look like there needs to be some change. There needs to be some, we think, stronger language around the expectations on developers, to not just, for example, do traffic studies that touch and identify the increased traffic on the roads they touch, but what about those other intersections just a little bit further downstream? We were just reviewing over the last couple weeks plans for some major developments in our area, and the impact is going to be significant to Angstrom and Bogard. Well, that particular intersection is probably the worst that we have. And we're concerned about the impacts of development and what appears to be no attempt to try to address that as part of the conversation with a developer. So there may be some code changes that could be done to help that. We hope to see code changes that would drive more traffic calming type design and construction, where we have roads that are cut-throughs from Bogard, for example, over to Wasilla Fishhook, or from Palmer-Wasilla Highway up to Bogard. And there's 3 or 4 different corridors that are being used as shortcuts through essentially neighborhood areas. And maybe the right answer is to do some more traffic calming design features that slow people down and maybe discourage that as a route. keep people on the routes that are designed for them. You'll see some statements in the resolution that really go beyond just vehicle traffic and speak to concerns around pedestrian, bicycle traffic, ATV, or the all-terrain vehicle traffic that, travels around the borough. We really believe that planning needs to be done to further advance not just vehicle traffic safety, but transportation more broadly. And the idea of a more efficient transit system and park and rides, try to find ways of providing transportation that help reduce vehicular congestion on the roads. So you'll see a couple suggestions in there along those lines. We did make a statement in here that we'd like to, and this is really, we need to be reaching out and having more conversation with the state, but quite frankly, we've gotten to the point where we would like to see that section of Bogard characterized as a safety corridor like they did out on the Connect-Goose Bay Road. I don't know that that's going to be possible, but it would be wonderful to see stronger enforcement along that road, a stronger police presence, a more significant deterrent to speeding on Bogard Road. And so one of the recommendations in there relates to that. Our first priority coming after we published the resolution and distributed it, the first opportunity we really had to get in front of a body that could make a difference was a conversation similar to this with the MVP MPO office. It was not just with the office, right? It was with the policy board. So I felt like we had like the perfect audience in the room, representation from all the different governments that could work together to make a difference on this section of our area. And so I was encouraged as a result of that discussion. There was a little Q&A back and forth. There was an opportunity for us to hear from the borough, for example, some good planning work that sounds like it's underway to address some of the intersection problems along that stretch of Bogard Road, reducing intersections. A good example, if you're familiar with the area, is like Caribou right now, where Caribou ties into Bogard is a really unsafe intersection. And I think long-term, what I'm hearing, there are plans to maybe, Caribou becomes a cul-de-sac, no longer intersects with Bogard. People are essentially forced to go to Moose, and then Moose and Bogard becomes a more significantly, appropriately designed and constructed intersection. We support that sort of approach. There will probably be people in our area who would object to pieces of that, but the bigger picture is we've got to find a way to allow Bogard to be the corridor it needs to be, but get it up to standard, if you will, for the traffic that we're seeing on it. I did meet with the Planning Commission last night. They gave me some time. There was a little bit of dialogue back and forth, and I was encouraged by that. And that's pretty much my presentation. I just wanted to, if you haven't had a chance to read it, encourage you to spend a little time. Please reach out to the council, to the North Lakes Council, if you have questions or would like to discuss anything further, or if you have information that you think would be helpful for us as we continue to focus on this. And I'll close with essentially the same way I closed the first two briefings I did on this, and that is we intend to just kind of keep being a squeaky wheel. So we're encouraging more and more community participation. We're trying to get people who are complaining and have concerns to step forward and at least share them with us, if not come to these meetings and share them with you or share them with the Planning Commission. So we do believe that a squeaky wheel strategy is not a bad strategy. And so that is our intent, is to continue to try to beat this drum. Okay?
Do you have questions or? Oh, yes, go ahead. Somebody person.
I just wanted to say thank you for taking the time to really be thoughtful about this and provide this information to us. I know people feel very strongly about having safe neighborhoods, and we've been growing so fast. We have a lot of issues across the valley with traffic, and I don't really have a question for you, but I wanted to ask the manager if maybe we could get in the next manager's report at the next meeting, sort of a summary of where the Bogard corridor plan is at for the borough, the status of that, and anything that might do to address these issues, and what, if any, mechanisms the borough has to address to keep from exacerbating these intersections. Like Mr. Hansen's talking about, you have a subdivision up. I actually used to take Caribou Charlie all the way over to Pamela, so I know people cut over for Wenceslas Fishhook. If you put in a subdivision over there, people are going to tend to come that way. So if we could maybe get an update on those two things, and also just any sort of what the viability of a safety corridor might be, realizing that's a state issue, but if there's anything on the borough end that we could do to look at that.
That'd
Thank
be
you.
great. Thank you.
Any other assembly comments, questions? No, I think when the community councils were formed, they were formed with the idea to help us be the eyes and the ears out there, because the size of the borough, and of course, we don't know all the things going on, and so we appreciate your time that you've come, and I know when we've had the joint meetings, you've always been here, and so we appreciate you being active and really taking an interest and then passing it on to us. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And I was also encouraged to learn last night that the South Lakes Council has formed up again.
Right,
And
yes.
so we're really looking forward to that, and to partner, try to do more partnering with the other community councils. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
And the next item is joint assembly and school board. I don't think we had a meeting, right? The next item is public relations report. Assemblyperson Paula.
Yeah. I'd like to take a moment and thank God for his divine intervention in protecting President Trump's life last Saturday. I believe if it wasn't for God's protection over his life, our country would be in a lot different temperature right now. I want to encourage people to love and treasure your family, your friends, and with those who you disagree, treat them with respect and decency. This country has personally given me an opportunity to be where I'm at now, and I'm deeply thankful for that. This is what makes me want to be involved in the community and try to make Valley a better place. I would like to ask people to take a moment to pray for our country, our state, our people, elected officials, including President Trump and his family. I love this country, and God bless you, USA.
Anyone else have a public relations report? Okay, Mr. Brown, you have a report for us, sir?
I do, Madam Mayor. I will be brief and not pontificate too long, Madam Clerk. So just three quick updates for the Assembly. We received confirmation from the Alaska Department of Transportation that they are extending Valley Transit's access to rural transit funding through June of 2025. This should mean for us that a lap in funding and services within the urban area will not change in October of this year, which was the original plan. We will continue preparations to apply for the urban transit funding that will go into effect July 1st of 2025. That timing will allow conversation regarding securing next year's local match over the coming months and will align with our budget cycle. So we're going to continue to carry the conversations with the cities of Wasilla and Palmer for what we think their local match contribution could look like. And then we'll have that conversation as we prepare the budget as well for fiscal year 26. So it puts it on a schedule where we can have a good conversation and you all can make decisions about what you want to see that look like. So that's a bit of good news. Second, regarding healthcare costs, because that's become a topic more recently, just to update the Assembly over the past month or so, we have had 2 meetings with the Mat-Su Regional Medical Center CEO. We recently provided a proposal to Mat-Su Regional regarding a new contract structure for our employee health plan for their consideration. We are currently working to get a meeting with their managed care team, which means there are a few folks from out of state. So we're working to get that coordinated. Hopefully we will get to that next week, and we'll continue to update the Assembly as more comes out about that. But I know there have been individual member questions. I just want to let the assembly know we are working that, and we will bring an update when we have more information. And then lastly, tonight, you will see under introductions, there are two ordinances, one for education and one for transportation. Those are being introduced for public hearing on August 6th. I've provided a spreadsheet in your red folders. It is an 11 by 17 that summarizes the financials for both ordinances so that you don't have to read through 2 5 to 7 page IMs and try to do the math for yourself. So that is available to you. I would encourage you to take a look at that, take it home with you. If you have questions about how it would affect the mill rate or how we arrived at the cost estimates or why we selected certain projects, whatever that looks like, we would welcome that conversation over the next 2 to 3 weeks. The IMs for both ordinances are very detailed. I appreciate the attorney's work there. He had a lot to do with helping draft that. That was intentional so that all of that information is available to the public and provides context and background for how we got there or where we are. So please feel free to reach out with questions as you consider the projects list, especially for the transportation package. If you have a potential road nomination that's not in the ordinance that you are going to potentially move as an amendment, please get with me or staff, specifically Tom Adams, because what we don't want to do is have an amendment that night and have cost estimates that are all over the place with an ill-defined scope. So if you have ideas and you're like, I am adamant about moving an amendment, like please get with us and we'll work with you to come up with a scope and an estimate that we think is reasonable. That's all, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Questions, comments from assembly to manager? Okay. Mr. Attorney, do you have a report?
No, Madam Mayor, I have no report tonight. Thank
Okay.
you.
Madam Clerk?
The clerk's report is in your red folder. It does include pertinent election information on there also that includes candidate filing. The one thing that I didn't include on there, which I will the next time, is propositions must be adopted by August 30th to be on the ballot in November.
Anybody questions? No? Okay. And then citizens and other correspondence, there's a number of items there. Are there any comments on the citizens and other correspondence? Okay, don't see any, hearing none, and they are presented. And Madam Clerk, will you read the IM?
IM 24119, informing the Assembly of a memorandum of agreement between the Matanuska-Susitna Borough and the City of Palmer, which has been signed by the Borough Manager regarding maintenance responsibilities for Bogard Road and related improvements in Palmer Moose Drive. And IM 24129, informing the Assembly of a grant amendment for a budget modification to be presented to the Borough Manager for signature.
Okay, are there any questions on the IM? Okay, hearing none, and they are presented. We do not have any, under special orders, any persons to be heard. Public hearings.
Ordinance 24059, an ordinance approving the sale of borough-owned land identified as 8784 East D Street and 8778 East D Street to the adjacent property owner, Michael Barnes, and repealing the public purpose dedication placed on the borough lots. If you're on the phone and would like to speak to this, press *3.
Okay, and I see we have staff.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the Assembly. I'm Jill Ursick. I work with the Land Management Division of the Matsu Borough. The legislation before you tonight, there's two actions in it. One of it is to rescind the public purpose that has been placed on these two properties back in 1984. And the second is to approve the sale of those two properties to the adjacent property owner. The borough took ownership of these properties in 1976 through the clerk's deed process. In 1984, public purpose was dedicated on these properties because that's kind of what they did with these standard lots back in the day. The borough has no need to hold on to these properties for a public purpose. They are 0.06 acres each. So they haven't been done, nothing's been done with them for 48 years and probably won't be done with them in the future. And the adjacent property owner did make an application to purchase those two lots. And there's been no comments against it, either interdepartmentally or from the public.
Any questions to staff? Guess not. Thank you. So I will go ahead and open the public hearing. We do not have a sign-up sheet. So anyone is welcome to give testimony to the assembly on ordinance 24-059. Do we have anybody online? We do not have anybody online. One last chance. Okay. I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Assembly Person Nowers.
I move to adopt ordinance 24-059.
Okay, discussion? Is there any objection? Hearing no objection, the legislation passes. Madam Clerk.
Ordinance 24063, an ordinance accepting and appropriating $31,375 from the Matsu Trails and Parks Foundation as partial funding for the purchase of Sutter 500 Trail Dozer, with accompanying resolution 24062, a resolution approving the scope of work and budget and authorizing the manager to enter into the grant agreement for a Sutter 500 Trail Dozer. If you're on the phone and would like to speak to this, press *3.
We don't have, okay. So I'll just go ahead and open the public hearing then, and we do not have a sign-up sheet. Okay, so anybody in the audience that would like to testify before the assembly on ordinance 24-063 or resolution 24-062? Anybody on, we do not have anybody online? One last chance. Okay, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Deputy Mayor.
I move to adopt ordinance 24-063 and resolution 24-062.
Discussion by the assembly? Yes, Assembly Person McKee? Will you turn on your, yeah. Thank you. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I did just have a question. I noticed the wording as partial funding. Where does the rest of it come from, or do we already have it? I looked in the other information, didn't see that. What's the total for this thing?
Okay. Go ahead.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Assembly members, and through the chair to Assembly Member McKee. The partial funding actually came from a capital project funding previously, and then the price changed, things went up, and Matsu Trails and Park Foundation is helping us with the additional funding for this. Yes,
Alrighty, thank you.
and I can tell you that as a former trail person, these trail dozers is going to be a really great thing for our trail.
Thank you very much. I was hoping there was some more money so we could actually do it. Thanks.
Yes.
Thank you. Further discussion by the assembly? Okay, is there any objection to the ordinance and the resolution? Hearing none, then the legislation passes. Madam Clerk.
Ordinance 24065, an ordinance accepting and appropriating a grant in the amount of $25,000 from the Matsu Health Foundation for emergency services, personnel supplies, outreach materials, and a promotional recruitment video with accompanying resolution 24066, a resolution approving the scope of work and budget for the Matsu Health Foundation grant for emergency services, ambulance personnel supplies, outreach materials, and a promotional recruitment video. If you're on the phone and would like to speak to this, press *3.
Staff? Go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor, Assembly members, and staff. Ken Barkley, Director of Emergency Services. This is a grant through the Matsu Health Foundation, and this is going to get us some personal gear for our EMS staff. It's also for outreach material, and also we're trying to put together a promotional video, which EMS is trying to work on, but this will help fund that. So that's what this grant's for.
Okay. Questions to staff? Okay. Guess not. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll go ahead and open the public hearing, and we do have a sign-up sheet. Mary?
Good evening. My name is Mary Robin. I'm a Matsu Borough resident, and I represent myself. I support with some questions ordinance 24-063 and ordinance 24-065. The Matsu Health Foundation has been a stalwart supporter and grantor to the borough, and I just hope that Member Yunt has made his peace with the Health Foundation, because as I looked over the Borough Health and Social Services Board, I see for many, many years Matsu Health Foundation and their spinoff, Matsu Parks and Trails Foundation, has been a good partner to the borough. So I'm glad to see that you've kissed and made up. Thank you.
Anyone else that would like to testify on this ordinance? Do we have anybody online, sir? No? One last chance? Okay, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And let's see, Deputy Mayor? Deputy Mayor?
I move to adopt ordinance 24-065 and resolution 24-066.
Discussion by the assembly. Okay, is there any objection? Okay, seeing and hearing none, the legislation passes. The next item we have is audience participation. She's running, so we must have a sign-up sheet. We sort of snuck up on you, did we? Well, Mary, you're first again here. Would you like to come back?
Mary Robinson, borough resident, and I represent myself. So we've all been reading about former U.S. District Court Judge Joshua Kindred. He was recommended by Republican Senators Murkowski and Sullivan, appointed by a Republican president to a lifetime appointment. Unfortunately, he's been the butt of some jokes. Tequila Tuesday, Whip It Wednesdays, sex, sex, sex. Does that mean that all Republicans are bad? No, it doesn't. Does it mean all attorneys are bad? Does it mean all judges are bad? No, not at all. I feel for him and his family from the bad choices that he made. And where I'm going with this is the American Library Association continues to be attacked. The current president of the ALA, Emily Drabinski, has identified herself as a lesbian Marxist. Well, people have taken that and run. Does that mean that the whole American Library Association is bad? Does it mean that the National Rifle Association is bad because of bad decisions by Wayne LaPierre who drove them into bankruptcy? No, of course it doesn't. So former U.S. District Court Judge Joshua Kindred has over 20 cases of potential conflict of interest or an appearance of impropriety involving his cases. I want you to think about impropriety and conflict of interest. When I came to the meeting last week for the inaugural meeting of the Matsu Borough Library Citizen Advisory Committee, I was told that I could not enter the chambers by a borough employee at 10 minutes before the start of the meeting at 5 p.m. because Mayor DeVries was giving a tour to her prayer group. And I looked in and I saw the prayer group consisted of book challengers, the chair of the Library Citizen Advisory Committee, and several members of what I later were told were members of King's Chapel. To be fair, I did not ask them if they were members of King's Chapel, but that's how they were identified to me. So the problem I have, as I've said from the very beginning when all this started about 18 months, 2 years ago, I will defend with my dying breath the right for someone to challenge a book and challenge it again and challenge it a third or fourth time, because that is democracy. But what I have a problem with is when elected officials elevate their religious beliefs over my individual freedom of all the freedoms of the people that reside in the borough. I've said from the beginning, the borough LCAC is ill-advised, misguided, and you're opening yourself to lawsuits. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Mm-hmm. Jackie?
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Assembly members. My name is Jackie Goforth. There seems to be some people in this valley that think attending a university or a college and earning a degree confers some sort of superiority over your fellow citizens. These elevated entities put out words and opinions that are considered sacrosanct and inviolate. They're immune from questioning or even discussion. If anyone does not adhere to them or believe adhere to these satanic theories such as transgendering and systemic racism, these educated people respond with stalling, obfuscating, clouding. They usually use words of reproof, ridicule, rebuke, they even contempt and disdain. I've experienced some of this firsthand, by the way, and it's really hard to find them of any value when they can't even get business licenses before they conduct business. But I can describe for you how this disparagement looks right now. I didn't have a way to show it until the July 8th LCAC meeting right here in this chamber. The first page of the packet I just gave you does that. Please compare the seating of the people selected to be in judgment of obscenity from January 18th to the ones that were selected to be in judgment of obscenity on July 8th. What is instantly noticeable? The placement is obvious. The individuals considered to be of a certain superior status and authority, as decided by the Community Development Department, are up on the dais. Community members of the newly formed Community or Library Citizens Advisory Committee, selected to be in the same judgment, are sitting at 2 tables down on the floor that they had to pull from the back of the room. The result, actually, is anyone speaking from this podium is looking down at them and speaking down at them. Do you know what that feels like? That's a nonverbal cue that they have no authority. I'd like to say this is an anomaly, something that's unplanned, but I've got 16 months of experience dealing with the barely veiled arrogance and supercilious dealings with some employees of your development department. And that segues me into the next page. That's a list of the books that was challenged last year. If you look at it, 5 of those titles don't have anything near being complete. If you look at the next page, that's the actual policy that was in place at the time. And if you read page number 1, step 1 says, the patron may file in writing a request for reconsideration, and it has to be signed and dated and sent to the Recreational and Library Services Manager. Not any of those 5 books were ever sent to the Library Service Direction Manager. So how on earth could they say completed? In fact, 2 of them, The Haters and, can't remember the other one I met on the other day. The Haters and Forever were never even met on. How could those even say complete? I'm telling you, we need transparency, and we need people who don't give you lies. Thank you. Thank you.
Rod? Henson? Did you want to, okay. Okay, no problem. Karen Lewis?
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Assembly and staff. I'm so thankful to the Assembly and Mayor DeVries for creating the Library Citizens Advisory Committee. I believe it will be effective in reflecting the community's outlook and values about which books are healthy for children in the Mat-Su Valley. I recently attended a meeting of the Mat-Su Borough Librarians. I believe it was May 31st of this year. Each librarian speaks about what's happening in their community and inform each other. And there were some other members from at large, I guess. Pastor Chad spoke and addressed the Marxist policies within the Mat-Su Library policies that mirrored the ALA policies. Jillian stated that there are no ALA policies within the Mat-Su Library policies. It came to a surprise to Pastor Chad and to Jackie because the last time that they had viewed the Mat-Su Library policies, the ALA policies were embedded within. So Jackie had printed out the Mat-Su policies previously. They were 15 pages, and when she looked online again after that, she heard Julian say, nope, they're not in there. There were only 5 pages now. So Jillian did take out the paperwork, the ALA paperwork. Yay, is what I say. But what I don't understand is why wasn't she being transparent about it? Why didn't she say, yeah, it was in there and I took it out? Instead, she just said, nope, it's not in there. So I expect the people that represent us, the people that are in the positions of authority, I expect them to be transparent. I don't, it's like she was hiding something. It's just not right to that. So after the meeting, I approached Jillian and asked her why she didn't tell the group that she had removed all the ALA things from the Matsu library, because a lot of them are Marxist, She seemed to be taken off guard when I told her that we had the paperwork that was dated May 3rd, just 3 weeks before. She had signed off on it, and that's when she had taken it out. She had just taken it out. And again, I'm glad she did. It's a good thing. But why wasn't she upfront to everybody about, yeah, I took it out 3 weeks ago, yay. So I don't understand that. I don't like that. And I'm addressing it. Another thing, when the LCAC was sitting down here, Hugh said that he was given instructions to. Now, was it Hugh that decided that? Because again, it is demeaning thing for them to do. When Hugh sat up there with the other two librarians or librarian committee that thinks these books are just fine and dandy to put in front of children. So they're supposed to be the authorities. I mean, I like it that you guys are up there. You're the authorities. But to put this new committee that I believe will be 100% better than this last one down there, what was the reasoning? Why was that? To demean? It's not right. And I'm calling it out. I don't want these people that are working for us doing this to these people. Oh, can I read one more thing?
Sure.
Okay. George Washington, when he was stated the following at his farewell address to the nation: "Do not let anyone claim tribute of American patriotism if they even attempt to remove religion from politics." Thank you, Mr. Fanov, for asking us to pray. That's excellent. We can pray anywhere we want. We can pray in here.
Okay, Brent Taylor.
Good evening. I just wanted to support the North Lakes Community Council resolution. I think it's time that we address smart development. We've seen pretty exponential growth in the valley, and it appears to be kind of a patchwork. And if we do things in a smart manner, everybody wins. We can have positive growth, and we can do it in a safe way. I'm also concerned about the Beauregard corridor. Recently, I don't even reside in the North Lake community area. I live in Laurel Estates. In our neighborhood, there's a proposed development to put in 58 new houses with one entrance onto Beauregard Road. There's no planning for a turning lane. This is close to Colony High School. It has a limited sight distance. Cars are going to be traveling at excess of 50 miles an hour, and I think it's asking for an accident to happen. But the main point here is that I think we need to revisit planning and development before we get behind the 8 ball. It's much cheaper to put it in properly ahead of time and much more efficient to do so. Thanks.
Sir, can I have you state your name for the
Yes,
record,
sorry.
please?
My name is Brent Taylor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Alrighty, now, even if you didn't sign up, you're still welcome to address the assembly on any topic. So, yeah, come.
Madam Mayor and members of the Assembly, thank you very much for letting me speak. I would like to also reinforce the North Lakes Community Council resolution. I live on Ingstrom Road. There's one major subdivision and another subdivision going into that area. Traffic is already very dangerous in that area. There's been a proposed solution to some of the problem, and that's called the Ingstrom Trunk Road Corridor. And I think that would alleviate a lot of traffic from people that are going to hit Trunk Road and into Anchorage or the Palmer area. And I would like to see if there's any way you could fast track that project, fund it. That area is growing. There's a whole lot of lots in that area that are unsold, and probably a third of them are empty lots. And then there's a whole lot of raw land in that area that's probably going to be developed. Something needs to be done now while it's going to be easy to do and accomplish. It's only going to get worse and worse. Once school starts, it's going to be a major debacle in that area, and it can be really dangerous. Patience wears really, thin for people that are in a hurry to go somewhere and they're stuck in the traffic waiting for a little slot to jump into. So if there's anything that the borough can do as far as funding, maybe emergency funds or whatever to speed that along, it would be good. There's many property owners in that area, that pay taxes, and that money should be going to make their life a lot more safe and simple. So if there's anything that the borough can do to expedite those projects. Also, Inksum Road can be extended. I think there's already plans on to do that. That would tie into Texall, which would give another route out of that area. And once Texall goes in, there would be like a way to hit Palmer Fish Hook. So there would be like 3 different avenues to go to get out of that area and alleviate that traffic. Thank you very much.
John, would you state your name, please, for the record?
John Miller.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else that would like to address the assembly? Can be on any subject. Yes, some bill.
Mark Spone. I just want to thank the mayor and the assembly members that decided to do something and hopefully we can, have these books looked at in the proper manner and protect the children that have a chance to get at them. It's just hard to believe that it took that long. I know government works extremely slow, I guess, and I don't usually follow it that much. But I just want to thank you, and I thank the person that sponsored the bill and the people that supported it. You'd think that would be an unanimous decision. I guess it wasn't, but if you love kids, I just thank the ones who love children and want to protect them. And I thank you, Mr. Fanoff, for your opening remarks tonight. What happened in this nation on Saturday, we all need to be in prayer. A person lost his life and people injured, and I was in grade school when President Kennedy got shot, and I just remember these things in your life, and it's like embedded in you, and you'll never forget it. So praying for this nation is very important. So trying to do something. I went to a softball game last night, and when we were walking by, there was a young family unloading their stuff out of their trunk, and there was 2 little kids got out. And this little boy says, "Hi, I'm Nick. I'm 3 years old." And then his sister says, "I'm Emily, and I'm 5. And I thought, wow. And there was a playground there and stuff, so I'm not sure. I didn't see him after that. But to see that enthusiasm and see that that's the future, that's these kids. How can we not do our utmost to make sure that we don't do anything that could harm a child or influence their precious mind? So thank you for trying. We'll see how it works. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else? Okay, do we have anybody online, Caleb? No? Okay, one last chance. Anybody?
Oh, we just got one.
Oh, we got somebody online? Okay. Ready? Whoever's online, go ahead.
Thank you. My name's Sam Hansen, and I'd like to say hello to the assembly. On your meeting packet tonight, you're going to be looking at having a public hearing regarding the mobile home park. I would like to know the reasoning behind it. Did our public bring this forward? The code exists to help residents protect their quality of life and to help direct growth in the valley. Have these people wanting to put in trailer parks been turned away? Have they been turned down? Has there been a public hearing in the last 5 years saying we want it in this area, but the area doesn't want it? I think you're taking away a right of your residents where they have a voice, because the borough does not have zoning. And without zoning, the only way residents can protect themselves is by saying, we have grown up and we are a single family residential area. Not all areas are appropriate for mobile home parks. If you take that voice away from your residents, you're doing them a disservice. And you're sitting on that board trying to help us figure things out. Earlier, you mentioned that the assembly looks to the community council as the eyes and the ears. The community council works with your planning department. Actually, they work for the Mat-Su borough. They work with your residents to get that voice, to tell you what we are looking for, so you don't have 100 people in your audience. They do the homework. They know what's going on. Last night's planning commission meeting, a marijuana application came forward. The borough did not know there was a school, and they did not know there was a school within 1,000 feet. But South Lakes just came on board, and that was in South Lakes. Had South Lakes been on board, that community council knows their area better than anyone, and they can tell you if there is a school or if it's something that's going to hurt their area. You need to be able to answer the question, is there a reason, or all the reasons why this ordinance currently exists, did they go away? Or are you taking away the ability for residents to help protect their property? Their property is the largest investment they've ever made. Not in their truck, it's their home, it's their life, it's where they raise their kids, and then they're going to sell it. And if they have to sell it with a marijuana grow next door or a trailer park next door, it's going to affect their investment. And they should be able to grow their area and keep the area the way it's grown up. There are wonderful places for a trailer park. I'd like to know why.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So one last chance back to the audience here. Anyone want to address the assembly? Do we have anybody else popped up? No. Okay. So I'll go ahead and close audience participation. And Madam Clerk?
AM 24081, award of proposal number 24134P to Kaufman Engineers Incorporated for a contract amount of $332,864 to design seismic resiliency improvements to the Dorothy Swanda Jones building.
Okay. Deputy Mayor?
I move
Consent.
the
consent, yeah.
consent agenda as read into the record by the clerk.
Okay. Is there any objection? Okay. Hearing none, the consent agenda has been approved. We do not have any unfinished business. We do not have any vetoes, but we do have some introductions. Madam Clerk?
Introductions for public hearing on August 6th, ordinance 24053, ordinance 24066, ordinance 24067 with accompanying resolution 24068, ordinance 24068, ordinance 24069, ordinance 2470, ordinance 24071, and ordinance 24072.
Okay. Deputy Mayor?
As read into the record by the clerk and set the public hearing for August 6, 2024.
Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, the legislation then has been introduced. Deputy Mayor, will you please move the vacancy report?
I move to confirm the mayor's recommendations as follows. Agricultural Advisory Board, Alexandria Hoffman. Local Emergency Planning Committee, resignation of Kathy Kramer.
Is there any discussion? Is there any objection? Hearing no objection, the vacancy report has been approved. There is no other new business. We do not have any referrals. We do not have any reconsiderations. We do not have an executive session, so we're ready for mayor and assembly and staff parting remarks. Mr. Attorney, parting remarks?
No, thank you.
Okay. Assemblyperson McKee, parting remarks.
Yes, I'm glad we're adjourning early because the convention is going on and my son is there. And I've seen the Alaska sign 3 times, but I haven't seen my kid. I'm hoping.
Deputy Mayor, parting remarks.
Thank you, Lord, for your love, mercy, and grace. Please forgive us for our shortcomings. Help us to love our neighbors and our enemies. Please bless our first responders, military, and our veterans and our leaders. Please give them guidance and wisdom. Please heal the sick, the addicted, the people dealing with trauma, the broken. Please heal our nation. Guide our children with your loving hand. In Jesus' name we ask and pray. Amen.
Assemblyperson Hours, parting remarks.
Just want to say thank you to those folks who came and spoke tonight about the issues in your neighborhoods. I know it's really, as a resident out here who's seen the growth, who's experienced it, that this is something that we're playing catch up on. And we should take a look at those codes to make sure we don't have incidents like Bogart and Engstrom where people are literally getting hurt and dying. And the rest of Bogart is, I mean, I drive it and I don't feel safe, and I know folks who've gotten in accidents there. And so just taking a strong look at how we manage this great growth that we have, and do it in a way that allows people to continue to develop, but doesn't negatively impact the existing property owners and neighborhoods. I think we can be smart about it. I think I heard the word smart. I think that's good. And then I just want to add my voice as well. I was shocked and appalled at the attack on Mr. Trump's life and dismayed by some of the discourse following it. And I just think we're a long ways from that national scene, but I think it's on all of us to speak out when we see people that are encouraging any kind of political violence, demonizing people. We can have our differences, but we can talk. And I think we've lost our way as a country with that ability. And I don't know if it's social media or what, but to be able to sit down at a table and be civil about it. And so I just wanted to add to my voice as well that this is just not America. It's not acceptable, and that doesn't represent any party that represents a sick individual. That is very, very misguided. And that, anyways, my hope is that everybody will take the opportunity to do what they can in their lives to bring civil discourse back and to condemn any sort of violence like that.
Mr. Manager, parting remarks. Madam Clerk, parting remarks. Assemblyperson Gamble, parting remarks, sir.
Yes, I just wanted to emphasize again the importance of community councils and their involvement, along with road service area boards and fire service area boards and all of those volunteers out there in our communities. They are our eyes and our ears and the voice of their neighbors to us that are here on the assembly. And Madam Mayor, I wanted to thank you for coming to the Big Lake Community Council meeting last Tuesday night. It was just a couple of nights after we had a fatality on the bike trail there with a motorcycle and a pedestrian. And as you can see, the Big Lake Community Council is very active, and there's probably 50 or 60 people there, as there is for almost every meeting. So I just want to thank everybody again out there that's working for their community council, working for their communities on the boards, and everything that they do to help us, guide what we do up here at the assembly. Thank you.
Assemblyperson Fauna, parting comment. And we don't have any. Did Assemblyperson Yount sign on? He didn't. And Assemblyperson Hale? No. Okay. So with that, wow. Whew, an hour and 1 minute. So with that, I will adjourn the meeting at 7:01 p.m.
You will now be disconnected.